Most men think fat loss is about sweating more cardio, more crunches, more time on the treadmill. Then they step off after an hour, look down, and the stomach has not moved in a month. That is the lie. The body does not respect noise. It respects work. You have been grinding through motion that feels hard and changes nothing. Push-ups that die halfway. A soft midsection that crunches never fix. Legs that never learn to work under real load. Bear gives you 5 movements almost nobody touches. 5 that spend energy fast and force the body to hold its muscle while the fat comes off. No spot reduction. No afterburn fantasy. Just the truth about what actually burns. Here is the part most men refuse to hear. A calorie deficit is the whole engine. The body releases fat when you feed it less than it spends. No movement on earth breaks that rule. These 5 are not magic. They spend energy fast, and they protect the muscle that keeps you looking lean instead of soft. This is where men get fooled. They train the stomach and wait for it to flatten. It never does. Fat sitting on top of a muscle does not vanish because you train that muscle. The body pulls fat from everywhere at once. That is why spot reduction dies every time it gets tested. A flat waist is built in the kitchen long before the mirror shows it. One more myth, the afterburn. One brutal session does not turn you into a furnace for a full day. Those extra calories are real, but small. 30 to 80 across the whole day. A tip, not a plan. So, what separates a real fat loss movement from a useless one? 2 things. How much muscle it forces into the fight, and how much work it crams into every minute. More muscle means more energy spent. Shorter rest means more demand in less time. That is the whole principle under all 5. No tricks, just more work per minute than anything else in the room. The first weapon sits in the corner right now, and almost everyone walks past it to grab dumbbells. The kettlebell swing. It looks too simple, which is why weak men ignore it. But few movements train explosive power, harden the whole backside, and wreck your conditioning inside the same rep. Hinge at the hips. Push them back like you are shutting a car door with your body. Snap them forward, hard, and let the bell float. Do not lift it with the arms. The hips throw it. Here is where most men lose it. They squat the swing and yank with the shoulders. The back rounds. The bell dies. Keep the spine flat and drive the hips. Around 15 reps, the glutes and hamstrings start screaming, and the breath gets ugly. The heart rate climbs like you are sprinting, and your feet never left the ground. The numbers back it. In one study on trained lifters, hard ballistic swings burned around 13 to 14 calories a minute, with heart rates near 87% of max. That is not gentle treadmill work. That is sprint. Level demand from a movement you steer with your hips. Be honest about the internet number. You have seen 20 calories a minute quoted everywhere. That came from the snatch, not the two-handed swing, measured on elite lifters, and half-estimated. The repeatable figure for a hard swing is closer to 13 or 14. Still brutal. Still better than standing on a machine. The real payoff shows up outside the gym. Carrying heavy bags stops pulling the back apart. Picking things off the floor stops feeling risky. The body feels like one piece instead of loose parts. Start light. Master the hinge. Build to sets of 15 to 20 hard swings with short rest. 3 to 5 rounds. That is enough to understand why this thing refuses to go out of style. Do not relax yet. The next one is even less popular, and it might be the most savage of the group. The sled. Push and drag. Walk to the turf, and it is gathering dust in the corner 9 times out of 10. That neglect is a mistake. The sled lets you work near maximum effort while doing almost no damage to the body. That sounds like a contradiction. It is the whole point. When you push or drag, there is no lowering phase. In a squat or a deadlift, the muscle lengthens under load on the way down. That is the part that leaves you wrecked for days. The sled strips it out. You only drive forward, never absorb, so you empty the tank and still walk fine the next morning. Make no mistake, when researchers measured heavy sled work, blood lactate climbed past 12, sometimes higher, with heart rates pushing toward 95% of max. That is the ragged edge of an all-out sprint without the pounding. Here is where the internet lies to you again. You will read that a sled session torches 400 or 500 calories in half an hour. Those numbers are invented. No clean study puts an exact figure on it. Anyone handing you a precise number is guessing. Bear will not insult you with a fake stat. What the research shows is the part that matters. The sled drives you into a near-maximal state without breaking you down. That is the hidden advantage. Because it leaves you fresh instead of sore, you can run it 2, 3, even 4 times a week. Most brutal work punishes you so hard you need days to recover. The sled lets you come back again and again. That frequency is where the fat quietly disappears. Keep it dead simple. Load it. Push 20 or 30 meters. Walk back. Go again. 5 to 10 rounds with short rest. Drag it backward to hammer the quads. Drag it forward to light up the hamstrings and calves. No matter how you use it, you pull near maximal output for almost no recovery cost. Stay with this one. The next movement might be the most complete thing on the list, and it almost never shows up on a fat loss video. Loaded carries. Pick up something heavy and walk with it. That is the whole thing, and it is one of the most complete demands you can put on the body. The farmer's walk barely makes a single fat loss list. That absence is exactly why it earns a spot here. Look at what happens while while you walk. Every muscle that keeps you upright fires at once. The core braces to stop you bending. The traps and shoulders hold the load. The grip fights to keep the hands shut. The glutes and legs drive you forward. From the second you lift it to the second you set it down, the whole body stays under tension. There is no rest position anywhere. This looks simple. That is the trap. Men grab a lightweight and stroll. Then the load owns them, and the shoulders creep up and the spine bends. Stand tall. Pack the shoulders down. Brace the core, like someone is about to hit you. The core work alone justifies it. You are not crunching. You are resisting, fighting to keep the spine still while the load tries to drag you out of position. That is what the core was built for. Far more useful than 100 sit-ups. On the fat loss side, the cost is plain physics. Moving a heavy load forces enormous amounts of muscle to push the ground with every step. The more muscle recruited to make that force, the higher the energy cost climbs. You are not isolating one small muscle. You are demanding output from nearly all of them at once. Bear will be straight here too. No clean study pins, an exact calorie number on the carry. The case was never a number on a screen. It is the completeness. Grip and core and traps and glutes and lungs and posture, all trained inside one walk. And it carries into everything. Groceries, furniture, lifting a kid off the floor. Keep it brutal and simple. Grab heavy dumbbells or a trap bar. Brace. Walk 30 to 40 meters. Set it down. Rest and repeat. 4 or 5 hard rounds on the forearms. The core and the lungs will all be on fire. No setup. No learning curve. No excuses. The body will try to negotiate. Do not let it. The next one fuses 2 movements into a single rep, which may make it the most demanding thing here. Minute for minute. Thrusters and complexes. Take a front squat. Take an overhead press. Weld them into one continuous motion. That is the thruster, and it ranks among the hardest things you can do with a barbell or a pair of dumbbells. Drop into the squat. Drive up out of the bottom. Let that momentum carry the weight straight overhead in one smooth chain. One rep trains the legs, the core, the shoulders, and the arms together. This is where the ego gets quiet. Men load it heavy and grind, and the form breaks in the middle. The magic is not in heavy weight. It is in the continuous flow. Keep it light enough to move clean. The quads and glutes stand the weight up. The core braces to send that force upward. The shoulders and triceps finish it overhead. Nothing rests. That total body demand is what makes it so expensive. The data agrees. When researchers studied full body movements built around thrusters, trained athletes were pushed near their max oxygen uptake, heart rates around 96%, tapping all 3 energy systems within a couple of minutes. That is about as high as metabolic demand climbs in resistance training. You are not pacing, you are redlining. This is also where you build a complex, a string of movements run back to back with the same weight, never setting it down. A row into a clean into a front squat, into a press, into a lunge. One bar cycling through movement after movement until the lungs give out. A few rounds of a good complex does more in 10 minutes than half an hour of steady work. The honest note. Those numbers come from trained athletes moving real loads. Do not expect to match them on day one. Scale it down hard. Use a light bar, 2 dumbbells, or your own body to learn the pattern. Keep it light enough to move smoothly. Why does almost nobody do this? Because men chop training into leg day and shoulder day and arm day and never think to combine them, leaving all that efficiency on the table. The thruster takes movements you already do and fuses them into one conditioning weapon. Learn it light. Build slowly. A handful of rounds and you will understand exactly why it made the list. The final one is the movement most people laugh off completely, and they are dead wrong to do it. Battle ropes. Men glance at the ropes and think arms. They think gimmick, something for the warm-up, a bit of flash with no payoff. They could not be more mistaken. Done right, the ropes are a full-body conditioning tool, and they are among the kindest on the joints of everything here. Look at what happens when you slam them. The arms and shoulders work, obviously, but to move heavy rope with real speed, the core has to brace hard. The legs stay loaded in an athletic stance, and the whole body stabilizes against the constant pull. The harder you go, the more of you gets dragged in. It looks like an arm exercise. It is the whole body fighting to keep the rhythm alive. The intensity is no joke. When it was measured, people working the ropes hit an average heart rate near 79% of max, an effort the researchers called Vigorous, burning roughly 10 calories a minute. That puts the ropes near the top against other conditioning moves, above squats, above burpees, in the same hard-breathing territory as the toughest bodyweight work, all while the feet stay planted and the joints stay happy. That joint-friendly quality is the hidden gift. No jumping, no pounding, no impact rattling through the body. If the knees are cranky, if the back hates sprinting, if running beats you up, the ropes hand you near. Maximal effort with almost none of the wear. You go hard without paying for it the next morning. Most men skip the real detail because it feels too honest. 10 calories a minute is excellent, but a 30-second burst will never change the body. You have to stack enough volume for it to count. A quick novelty blast at the end of a workout does almost nothing. Real rope work means rounds. 30 seconds on, short rest, again and again, until the total work actually matters. Treat it seriously, and it earns its keep. Treat it like a toy, and it stays one. Use it as the closer. Pick a style. Waves, slams, or circles. Go hard hard for 30 seconds. Rest briefly. Repeat for 8 to 10 rounds. By the end, the lungs are screaming and the whole upper body is cooked, and you will never call it an arm exercise again. Here is how you actually put these to work. You do not need all 5 every day. Pick 2 or 3 and turn them into a finisher at the end of your normal training. Or build 1 or 2 dedicated circuits a week. Picture sled pushes, a heavy carry, and rope rounds. Run back to back. Short rest, high effort, tight sessions. 20 hard minutes will always beat an hour of going through the motions. Keep the order straight in your head. These movements spend energy and protect muscle. Your diet creates the deficit that strips the fat. Train hard. Eat in a controlled deficit with enough protein. And these 5 become the accelerator. Skip the diet and none of it amounts to anything. 2 weeks in, the sessions stop feeling like chaos and start feeling like work you can repeat. 4 weeks in, the conditioning shifts and the waist starts to answer. 8 weeks in, the body moves like one solid piece. Leaner, harder, and harder to knock out of position. The loud men will still be grinding an hour of cardio and watching nothing change. Bear will be spending energy, holding the muscle, and letting the fat leave quietly.